To me, mastering dialogue is the first step of writing comedy in dialogue. This video is focused on that first step and will demonstrate the main components that comprise great dialogue. With no further delay, let's dive in.
Let me get settled before you clomp in here in one of your jealous snits.
One of my... Wait, whoa, clomp?
Yes, Lana, clomp, meaning...
I know what clomp means!
Your clomping ass ought to know. Seriously, I bet your downstairs neighbors hate you.
The first component I'll discuss is also, in my opinion, the most important. Having conflict in your dialogue is simply the best way to generate the most natural and engaging dialogue in your story. When one character has a goal, but the other character is an obstacle to that goal, the dialogue between these two characters is almost guaranteed to be exciting and dynamic. Tarantino can craft some of the best dialogue scenes in his movies. I could discuss the opening scene in Inglourious Basterds, but that scene is analyzed again and again. This time I'll reference the pub scene with Fassbender's Archie versus the Major. Archie and his crew masquerade as Nazi soldiers, while the Major intrudes on them, risking to expose Archie's true identity. The tension in this scene is incredible. The Major presses against them while the team work to make their lie believable. It's because of the high stakes and the conflict in this scene which makes it so great.
Ich habe eine Pistole auf Ihre Eier gerichtet, seit Sie hier sitzen. Und ab jetzt sind wir zu dritt. Und auf die Entfernung bin ich ein richtiger Frederik Zoller. Scheint mir ein bisschen heikel zu sein, unsere Lage. Was jetzt passieren wird, Sturmbannführer. Sie werden aufstehen und mit uns durch diese Tür hinausgehen. Nein, das glaube ich nicht. Ich glaube, Sie und ich, wir beide wissen, Hauptsturmführer, dass egal, was mit den anderen Leuten hier in diesem Raum passiert, wir zwei nirgendwo hingehen.
But conflict doesn't need to be something negative. There's a reason why rom-coms are the chocolate-strawberry combination in movies. The inherent conflict of the male protagonist chasing after the female protagonist is always powerful in creating fun dynamic scenes involving these two characters. But conflict also doesn't need to be extreme in order to create great scenes. With conflict, a little can go a long way. If you have a scene featuring friends, you can still maintain friendly banter and spice up the scene with some mild conflict. Community is stuffed with great dialogue scenes that show this. In this scene, Annie reveals that she has a crush, while the rest of the group tries to guess who it is.
Get back to who Annie's in love with. Is it Fat Neil?
Blue Streak? Optimus Prime?
Okay, even I know some of these are Transformers.
Who cares who it is? Let's just study.
Study what? We haven't had a first class yet.
Well, can we talk about something other than Annie's love life?
We could talk about my love life.
Is it Jean-Claude Van Overbite?
We should really start learning people's names.
I agree with Brown Jamie Lee Curtis.
The conflict is that Annie has a secret, and the rest of the group wants to learn it. Keep in mind that conflict doesn't create great dialogue or comedy on its own, but conflict creates an ideal environment for dialogue to flourish. Most great dialogue scenes have some kind of conflict in them. Think of your favorite scenes. Chances are there's some level of conflict there. The next key to great dialogue is keeping in mind that it must emulate realistic dialogue, but it should never actually be realistic dialogue. Dialogue is a dramatized depiction of what real life is. It's a fantasy, but on the outside it should appear like natural dialogue. What makes dialogue better than real life is that it's relevant to the story or the characters. The dialogue should achieve a purpose in some way. Sometimes it can be for trivial purposes, or sometimes big purposes. But the dialogue should never be pointless. If the characters are discussing what plans they have for the weekend, it'll be very boring for the audience. Sometimes the purpose of dialogue can be driving the plot forward, or it can be fleshing out a character. Maybe it's to demonstrate the friendship between two characters. So instead of telling the audience that the characters are friends, it's shown that the characters get along and are very relaxed around each other. It could be the opposite, where two characters are shown to be enemies rather than telling the audience that they're enemies. Dialogue is similar to plot in this sense. Plot is a fantasy from real life. A story about someone running errands would probably not be very interesting. Plot is better than real life, otherwise there would be no point to the story. In the same way, dialogue needs to be better than real life. The last component for great dialogue is writing subtext into the dialogue. In other words, the dialogue should not be too on the nose or too obvious. Dialogue with no subtext can have numerous side effects. It can sound condescending to the audience, or too preachy, or worse, flat out corny and stilted. This partly ties into emulating realistic dialogue. People rarely in real life say exactly what's on their mind or what they're thinking. But unfortunately, writing dialogue with no subtext is a trap that writers commonly fall into when developing their story. What happens is that a writer will spend a great amount of time analyzing and detailing the emotions and beliefs of a certain character, where the writer knows the character better than the character should know his or herself. Then when the writer creates the dialogue for the character, the dialogue is so exact in describing their feelings and emotions that it becomes too on the nose. The reason subtext is desirable is because it subconsciously engages the audience. By creating subtext, there's layers within the dialogue. There's what the character said versus what the character meant deep down. The dialogue should show how the character is feeling, rather than telling us how the character is feeling. Many times, a bonus of subtext is that it can force your dialogue to perform double duty, meaning that your dialogue will not only show meaning, but it can also help build the world or character development, etc. Consider the stilted dialogue where a student fails to turn in their homework. "Where is your homework, Jeff?" "Sorry, I don't have it. I expect the homework to be on time. I'll turn in the next assignment." This dialogue sounds very stilted and awkward. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone actually having this conversation in real life. However, let's use the same scene but throw in some subtext. "No homework again, Jeff? Sorry, my mom needed help yesterday and you should try to be more like Carl. He's already working on the next assignment. I know, I swear. I'll get the assignment done next time." See how the dialogue is more dynamic and shows the characters better. With subtext, we get the same information as before, but now we get much more. Now we know that it's a common occurrence that Jeff doesn't turn in his homework because the teacher says, "No homework again, Jeff." We also learn that Jeff is having problems at home with his mom. This will bring questions into the audience mind, like, what's going on at Jeff's home? And what is Jeff helping his mom with? Not only this, but because the teacher interrupts Jeff rudely, we are shown that the teacher isn't fond of Jeff and likes Carl much more. We also learn that Carl is a little shit, who's an overachiever. Then we finally see that Jeff is submissive to the teacher, vowing that he'll get the next assignment done. With this, we are shown the pressure that's building on Jeff to finish his next assignment. We can see the stilted dialogue in the Star Wars prequels. There are examples of telling rather than showing, where the characters will say exactly how they feel rather than provide any subtext to their emotions.
"I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me. My heart is beating, hoping that that kiss will not become a scar. You are in my very soul, tormenting me. Believe me, I wish that I could just wish away my feelings."
Pearl Harbor has a similarly awkward scene where the dialogue feels ham-fisted.
"You are so beautiful, it hurts."
"It's your nose that hurts."
"I think it's my heart."
But for a good example of dialogue and subtext, I'll use one of my favorite films as an example. In the climactic scene of Casablanca, Rick convinces Elsa to get on the plane with Victor Laszlo. Elsa resists, but eventually gives in. If the dialogue was written without subtext, it would sound very close to this. "You don't want to be here. It's too dangerous here anyway. You could end up captured by the German army. Right, Louis?" "That's right." "Why are you pushing me away?" "Because we both know that you belong with Victor. Without you, he can't save the world. If the world isn't saved, then you'll regret it." No, you will regret it. "But we're supposed to be together. We'll always have our memories of each other. Also, I'm doing this because I once lost my previous idealistic ways. I had forgotten about them, but you brought them back when I saw you last night. You're right, although I regret to admit it. But don't worry, we'll be together in spirit. I'm going to go my way and you're going to go your way. The problems we have are much less important than what the world is going through right now. You'll understand that someday. I'm proud of who you are, and you're a smoking hot lady." But this is how the actual scene is written.
"You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10 we'd both wind up at a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis?"
I'm afraid Major Strasser would insist.
You're saying this only to make me go.
I'm saying it because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we'd We lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
And you never will. But I've got a job to do, too. Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of. Ilsa, I'm no good at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of three little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. Someday you'll understand that. Now. He's looking at you, kid.
I don't think any explanation is necessary. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my video on writing dialogue. I wanted to let you know of a novel that I'm currently working on. It's called Empty Vessels, and the website to it is in the description below. From there you can learn about it and sign up for updates. Please check it out and look for more videos in the future. Thank you.